What is going on, beautiful people of the world? My name is Garrett Wolf, and I am the host of the #1 podcast for people who are trying to go from saggy flabs to six-pack abs. I've built my body over the last 8 years, and in the last 3 years, I've helped hundreds of online clients shred unwanted fat and embody the best version of themselves. Now, let's jump right into today's show.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Alpha Movement Podcast. This is the #1 show for people who are trying to go from saggy flabs to six-pack abs, all without giving up the most enjoyable aspects of their life. In today's episode, we're going to be doing, for the first time ever, a Q&A. I asked you guys to send in some questions on Instagram for a little Q&A, and it was actually pretty cool. It was pretty fun. We got some decent responses. I got the top 4 questions that I found from you guys, and I wrote them down right here, and I'm going to be answering them for you on this beautiful Saturday morning. And it was pretty fun, like I said. So if you guys enjoy this kind of thing, I'll definitely implement it weekly if we can get enough questions in from you guys. So if you have a question, or you're sitting on a question and you want me to answer it on a podcast, look out for the Q&A poll on my Instagram on Fridays. I'll be posting one on Fridays, and overnight you guys can ask questions, and then on Saturdays I'll be answering your questions on a little weekly Saturday Q&A. If we can get that rolling, that would be super fun. I've always wanted to do these, and you just kind of need enough intelligent questions, I guess, because a lot of questions are just stupid kind of base level questions that don't really make a whole lot of sense, and they're just like 2-word answers. But I got some good questions this time, and so if you guys have a question, just look out for the Friday poll, or just shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, and be like, yo, can you answer this question for me on Q&A? And I will do this weekly, like I said, on Saturdays, and I will answer your questions on a Q&A, and I'll start doing it live too. But for now I can't do it live because a lot of things are going down that I can't really tell you guys about right now. But there is something in the works that I will be telling you guys about. And as of for right now, if you have a question, just DM it to me. Be like, yo, can you answer this on Q&A? Or you can look out for the Friday polls, like I said, and I will answer it on an upcoming Q&A for you live. All right, guys. So if at any point during this podcast Q&A you enjoy what I have to say, or you take some value from this podcast, please screenshot my face, share it to your Instagram stories, tag me at _Garrett Wolf, and I will reshare it to my story and send you a free gift. Other than that, guys, hopping right into the first question here on this beautiful Q&A. First of all, actually, before we hop right in, I just want to say I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope your life's going well. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're grateful. I hope you're successful. I hope you're making progress towards your fitness goals. I'm currently, again, 2 weeks and 6 days out from my fitness competition, and I seriously cannot wait for it to be over. It's a struggle every single day. I'm always hungry. I'm always low motivation, always low energy, and it was a fun experience, and I can't wait to step on stage, and I can't wait for the aftermath, because I'm going to be bulking up. It's going to be super exciting, and I'm just really grateful and excited for what's to come in my future. And I'm just excited that I had this opportunity. I'm excited that I got to do this. Even though it was one of the hardest things, I don't know if I'd say it was like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but it was definitely one of the more challenging avenues. Definitely one of the more challenging avenues. I mean, I've been in a worse calorie deficit before, for sure. I've been hungrier before, but I've never experienced so much of the retaining as much muscle as possible while getting as low body fat as possible, which is like one of the hardest parts, right? I have to kind of continually go in the gym, hammer my muscles that have no energy, that have no strength and just no endurance, and like no energy and low motivation and just not a lot of calories. And I'm like really not used to the whole experience, and it's kind of weird. It's like taking a little bit of a toll on my mindset. I can already tell. It's like I was kind of warned before going into this prep that it can start playing like mental tricks on you, and you can start developing sort of mental disorders and eating disorders. And I'm definitely experiencing that side of things, as far as like thinking my physique like doesn't look all that good, even though it's like the leanest and biggest I've ever been. Thinking that I might not be even big enough to step on stage. It's kind of like embarrassing stepping on stage at 155 pounds, right? It's like all these mental things going on where it's not exactly true that anything that I'm saying, like, people step on stage at 155 all the time. People step on stage at 145. People, again, I've eaten in a stricter caloric deficit before. If you guys know my story, the lowest I've ever gone is like 1100, literally 1100 every single day. And I was shredding body fat at the time. And right now I'm only eating 1800, but it's a different kind of experience. Maybe I'll make a podcast about the mental barriers that you have to break through when competing, or at least the mental barriers that I have to break through when competing for my first bodybuilding show. And I think that would be a cool little topic. So in any case, I can't wait for the show to be over. I can't wait to bulk afterwards. There's a lot of cool things coming, a lot of environmental changes. Let's just leave it at that. And so I'm going to be I'm going to be having to work through a few barriers in my life, because a lot of things are going to change. A lot of things are going to go up in the wind really, really quickly. And so, I could easily dread on it. I could easily be upset about it. I could easily be sad, sit here and be a little crybaby. But at the end of the day, I'm incredibly excited and I'm incredibly grateful, because change is good. That's how life always is. Life is always changing. Life is always evolving. And that's honestly for the better. So we'll see what kind of new opportunities come out of these, framed to be adversities. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see what we can sort of make done. And I'm just excited to see what's to come. I'm excited to see about the future, and I'm excited to see what kind of opportunities I can identify. And so I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you're all grateful. I hope you're all successful, and I hope you're all making progress towards your own goals, dreams, and ambitions. All right, guys. So in any case, we're going to hop right into Q&A. Again, I have the top 4 questions that I could find on my Instagram poll to answer for you guys today. Some of them are good. A couple other ones, they're all pretty good. Again, I got a bunch of questions, but a bunch of them are just kind of silly. And these are the top 4 questions that I got from you guys on my Instagram poll to answer in Q&A. Again, hopefully in the future, maybe I can go live on Instagram and get some questions from you guys live, or I'm sure there's other strategies I can implement to get like a longer list of questions for maybe like an hour-long podcast, because 4 questions, it's going to be, 20, 25-minute podcast. But I do want to start making longer podcasts for you guys, and I do want to start bringing on guests. That's one of the things that I was alluding to, things changing in the future, environments changing. But I don't really know anyone. I live in Mass, and it's like I don't know anyone that is, I don't want to say worthy of coming on the pod, but I don't really have a whole lot of people who are smarter than me, in any case, people who know more than me in fitness that I know in real life. I know a bunch of people online, but maybe I'll start pulling guests into the podcast, and I can run like an hour long. Or in the future, I can again go live, get more questions, and answer like a whole laundry list of 10 questions. But in any case, I do want to do this thing weekly, because Q&As are just always so much fun. It's like straight from the horse's mouth. You guys ask me questions, and I'll give you answers. So here's number 1. We're going to hop right in here to the first question. So the first question is, did you have a definitive moment that inspired you to fitness and to become a fitness coach? So this is a good question here. This is a great question. If you guys know my story, you might know the answer to this. So actually, I don't know though. I don't know if I've ever told this story specifically on the podcast. I know I've written about it on Instagram posts. I know I've made some Instagram reels about it, but I don't know if I've ever told you guys on the podcast live before. So this is like a 2-part question. Did you have a definitive moment that drew me to fitness, and then a definitive moment that drew me to becoming a fitness coach? So I've been into fitness for the past 8 years of my life. I started when I was 14 years old. I'm now 22 years old. And growing up, I always looked up to the jocks of high school, right? Like the Zac Efrons, the Taylor Lautners, right? This isn't really a jock in high school, but the Thors, right, from the Marvel movie, the big guys, like the leaders, right, the top G's, if you will, the the kind of cool guys in high school, right? I would always watch videos of, how to gain confidence on YouTube. Like these men would go up to like these girls and serenade them with a guitar, right? And I would be like, damn, that guy's hella confident. He's singing in front of girls. Like I would never be able to do that. I need to learn how to do that, right? And so I always wanted to be confident, and I was always like skinny fat, because I was trying to be a pro gamer. I was sitting on my computer literally all day, kind of skinny fat, no muscle, all fat, no strength, and I was like the furthest thing from this high school jock. And I was 14 years old, and I was going into high school within the next year. So I knew that if I wanted to go into high school and be a high school jock, I needed to make a change. Something had to happen. And and so I'm trying to get this story right. So the summer going into high school was when my parents split up, right? So my dad was in an apartment complex, and one of the ways we came up with to kind of spend more time with him so that we weren't always just with my mom is like I remember we were at a water park and I was like, maybe we should start working out, right? Like maybe we should start working out, dad. But before that, see, I got the story mixed up already. Before that though, this was the defining moment is I was in the shower, right? And I was thinking about all this stuff. Like I'm going into high school, I'm trying to be a jock, and I was afraid of high school gym class because all the high school gym class you see on children's shows or just like I don't know, normal shows is like they make it look so hard. They make gym class look like so hard, like you have to climb the rope, right? You have to do the pull-ups test, you got to do the push-ups test, you got to do the sit-ups test, and I was like, I'm gonna look like an absolute fool in front of all these people, in front of all these new people, because I was always changing high schools and changing schools. I'm gonna look like a fool in front of all these new people, and nobody's gonna like me, right? That was the fear. I was like, nobody's gonna like me. I'm skinny fat. I'm a loser. I'm unconfident. I can't do any sit ups. I can't do pull ups. Like, I am fucked when going into high school, and I need to change something. So I was in the shower. It was like a big shower. We had like a bigger house at the time. It was a large shower. Like you could fit like 10 people. Like it was a huge shower. You could fit like 10, 15 people in there. Maybe not 15. You could probably fit 10 people in there. And so I was like, I'm gonna practice push-ups. I'm gonna start doing push-ups right fucking now. And prior to this, like you gotta keep in mind, like I didn't do any physical activity. Like I never tried push-ups. I never really even tried pull-ups, except for in like the elementary school pull-up test, which I knew like I couldn't really do pull-ups, but I never had really tried push-ups. So I was like, I'm about to go down on all fours, 14 years old, and I'm gonna try a push-up in the shower, right? I was completely naked, just in the shower, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a push-up right now. And so I got down and I went down, right? Downward on the push-up. I did the eccentric contraction portion of a push-up. And then I kid you not, I literally didn't have the strength to even do one push-up. I was like a fucking elementary school girl. I literally got down on all fours. I went down and I could not press myself back up. And I remember falling onto my chest and onto my stomach on this shower floor with the water just drizzling on top of me, and I just felt like an absolute fucking loser, dude. I couldn't even do one single push-up, and I was like, that is, I just remember thinking at the time, that is the strength that is equivalent of an elementary school child, and I cannot do a single fucking push-up. That is pathetic. And I just remember feeling slimy and gross with the water, and I just laid there on the bathroom floor like a absolute defeated fucking mongrel, dude, and I felt like shit. So then, right, the split happens and I go up to my dad. We're at this water park with my dad and my brother, and I'm like, we got to start going to the gym. Like, we need to start going to the gym. And my dad, see, he was on a fitness journey prior. Like, he's always been kind of into athletics, into fitness. When he was in his 20s and 30s, he was always going to the gym and lifting before he had us, obviously, us children. And then when he had us, he kind of stopped lifting a little bit. His trainer and him kind of parted ways. We were in Florida when he was with his trainer, I believe. Might have been a different state. See, I've lived in like 6, 7 states. It's absolutely fucking I can't even barely remember everything about it, but he switched states with his trainer, right? So he didn't have his trainer. He wasn't really training like he used to. And so when I came up to him and I was like, I want to get in the gym, I want to train, it was like a nice mixture of we need to spend more time together. And he also is into fitness, but he doesn't really do it anymore. And the split had just happened, so he's like, yeah, like let's get into the gym. You guys should come over to my apartment gym complex every weekend and we'll hit the gym. And so I literally started hitting it. I started seeing the changes in my body every single time I went. I started to develop a tricep, right? Because that's one of the main muscle movers for push-ups. I was able to do push-ups. I was able to do like 10, 12 push-ups after a few months, and I just fell in love with the bodily changes, and the rest is pretty much history. I mean, you guys know the story. I started doing HIIT workouts alone in my basement. Then eventually when I turned 16 and a half, I got a car, I got my license. I started driving to the gym on my own, and then I just started going and going and snowballing, and that is how I fell in love with fitness, and that is the reason that I will never ever stop, because I will never go back to that weak, frail little boy in the shower who can't even do one single push-up. And so that push-up story is literally the spark of my fitness journey. And so that's how it all happened. But then how did I become a fitness coach? That's a separate question. So then I literally fell in love with fitness so much that I started skipping school to go to the gym. I literally would stay home from school just to go to the gym so that I could get a nice solid workout in so that I would have time for recovery. Because if you guys are going to school right now, like it's kind of tiring to go to school all day till 3 p.m., then just to get out and go to the gym at like 4, then you get out of the gym at 6, 7, your whole day is over, right? And then you just got to go to bed, do your homework, and wake up and do it all over again. So some days I would literally just stay home from school. My parents didn't really give a fuck. Again, they were split. So I was literally just with my mom, and I would be like, "Mom, I'm trying to stay home." She's like, "All right, I'll fucking call in for you." She literally didn't care. I could do it. I'd stay at home like once a week. Once or twice a week, I would literally stay home, go to the gym, pump the iron hard as fuck, get a nice recovery in at home. And it was a great time, honestly. I miss those days so much. It was great. But I literally fell in love with the gym so much it started consuming my entire life. I would watch videos all day about optimal exercises, videos all day about how to train better, how to recover better, all things related to fitness. I'm still so in love with it. It's like completely consumed my entire life. And then I always wanted to be like a trainer, I thought. I was like, I love the way trainers move, the way their movement is so clean, it's so crisp, it looks so nice. It looks like they have so much control over their body. I was like, I want to be a trainer. But I also knew that being a trainer in person doesn't really provide a whole lot of money. And I've always wanted to be financially successful as well. I never wanted to be someone who struggles with money. I always wanted to be able to buy whatever I wanted. I always wanted to be able to do whatever it is I want to do. This whole thing about control and freedom is like top of the priority list for me. And so I wanted to be a trainer, but I just didn't want to do in person because, you're training like all day long. You're on the floor 8 hours a day in the gym. And like that sounds like a recipe to start hating the gym, is to start going there every single day for 8 hours a day training people. You'll start resenting the gym. And so I always had it in the back of my mind like, I want to be a trainer, but I don't want to be an in person trainer. And then again, so when I was about 20 years old, COVID hit and I was in my first year of college, right? And so COVID hit, I was in my first year of college and they sent everybody home and we switched 100% to online school, right? So then I was chilling at home, just doing online school, still trying to figure out my life just like everyone else. And I got an ad from my mentor, B Mark Fit. He literally comes up as an ad. He's like, um, I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. He's like, "Are you an in-person trainer trying to go online and make $5,000 to $10,000 a month to regain your freedom, to regain your confidence, to regain your um I'm trying to remember word for word what he said, but it was something like that. It was something like that. He hit all the nails. Like it's great marketing, right? You think about it now, it's like this is fantastic marketing. He hit every single dot that I was thinking of, like freedom, confidence, your power back, gain it all back. And he's like, you can make 5 to 10K a month training people online. You don't have to be in the gym. And so I remember watching that ad. I was literally on the toilet, like just going to the bathroom, and I was at home, right? And I was still in college, but it was my first year. And you see ads all day, right? You see ads all the time. And so I saved it because sometimes I'll save ads that really resonate with me, right? So I saved it. I was like, I'll think about it. B Mark, I'll think about it. Another fucking ad. This guy's trying to scam me, right? Just like everyone else thinks. I was like, another ad. This guy's trying to scam me. Closed it out, and I just went about my day. But then during that day, it's such a strange experience because something was eating inside, like something was eating at me from inside me. I was like, dude, I need to go back to that ad. I was like, if what he's saying is true, if he's not lying, this could change the course of my life. This could change the history of my life. And it was eating at me all day. And so I went back and I was like, I'm going to send him a message. I'm going to send him a message and see what this B Mark guy's all about. I sent him a message and he just started talking to me, right? And I forget how the conversation went, but again, I'm pretty sure I talked to him a little bit and then I was like, just kind of chilling on it. I was chilling on it. I figured out the price of his program, which was 300 a month for a year contract. So you had to sign up for the entire year and you had to do 300 a month payments. And so I got the price and I was like, there's no way I can do 300 a month. I don't have $300 a month to pay for this program. Like this is impossible. This is impossible. But it was just eating away at me. It was eating at me and eating at me and eating at me. And so I was like, I need to make this possible one way or another. I need to figure out how to do this because I don't want to go back to college. First of all, like college is great, but it's online now. It's online. I'm not learning anything. I'm not making any money, and I need to make a change if I want to be financially free, if I want to gain back my freedom, if I want to gain back my control over my life, right? So I took his kind of sales page and I pitched the program to my mom, right? And I was like, is there any way that if I drop out of college and save you guys the $25,000 that it is for college, and instead I go through this program, have you guys split it 150 a month instead of $25,000 for the year? I have you guys split the price of this program, my mom and my dad, right? And I'll pay you guys back once I start making money, right? Once I start getting the money in from this online training thing. And it took a little bit of convincing, but they were like, they've always been really supportive, right? So they were like, at the end of the day, they were like, if this is what you think you want to do and you don't like online school, like it sounds like pretty good savings to us, right? It's like instead of 25,000 a year, you can just do 300 a month, right? And so that comes out to like 3,600 over the year. You save like $22,000. It sounds like a pretty easy no-brainer for them, right? Because my mom was struggling a little bit with money at that point, not getting as much money as she would typically be used to. And my dad, he was like, yeah, I'm saving 22K a year. Sounds fucking good to me. And so that was the defining moment that made me want to be an online fitness coach. I always knew I wanted to be a trainer, right? But being an online fitness coach is like, I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw this ad. And so when B Mark, my mentor, kind of described to me that this was possible, I was all fucking for it. And it's like the stars aligned. I thought he was a scammer at first, just like everyone else, like closed the ad, but it was eating at me. Like I knew this was the thing. It's weird in life how your body just knows. Like something about me just knew. I was like, I need to attack this. I need to attack this with everything I have. This college shit is not the path for me. And I know that I need to make a change and I need to do something if I want to gain this financial freedom and finally regain control. And so that day when I saw that ad changed the course of my history for the rest of my life. And so I'm forever grateful to him. I'm forever grateful to his ads. And I'm forever grateful that I found that ad on that day and that it ate away at me for the whole day. And so that's the defining moment that made me into an online fitness coach. It's kind of crazy, man. I don't know if I've ever told that story before. It's fucking it's weird because I could have just closed the ad, right? And just been on with my day. Because I see ads all the time, dude. All the time I see ads. And the average person sees like 1,000 ads a day or more. And so that the craziness is that this one ad stood out to me. And it really goes to show like his marketing was flawless. He was marketing to a person like me, you know? It's like regain control, financial freedom. It's like if you're a trainer and you don't want to be a trainer anymore. And I'm like, dude, I've been training people for a while. I trained my friends. I was shadowing under a trainer in high school. I interned for a trainer at a gym. And I was like, I was gonna be a trainer. That for a lack of a better term, I was gonna be a trainer, That's what I was gonna do. I just hadn't pulled the trigger because I didn't want to spend 8 hours a day in the gym. And I already knew everything I needed to know to be a trainer. And then to see this ad, like it's like the stars aligned, It's like great marketing is like making the stars align, solving all my problems. And so that's exactly what he did, and that's exactly how we moved forward. And that's exactly how 2 years later I'm here today training all these clients and making all these podcasts. And so at the end of the day, it's like great marketing sells a great story. You know what I'm saying? So that's the definitive moment of how I started lifting and then how I became an online fitness coach for you there. So that's answering the first question. And it's crazy, man. Like that's hella nostalgic going back on that. It's like crazy to think about that. So the next question is, which is better, dumbbell or resistance bands? So this is an interesting question. A lot of people in fitness, they think that something is going to be better than the other thing. And I'm here to tell you that dumbbell or resistance bands are two completely different things that would not be used for the same outcome. So dumbbells are going to be used to gain strength, right? Dumbbells are going to be used to gain strength and stability. You can overload them really, really well. Obviously, dumbbells go up to a pretty much endless number. Resistance bands do not go up to an endless number. So one thing resistance bands are good at is warming up, because resistance bands keep tension on your muscle throughout the entire movement. Whereas dumbbells have like peak contractions, and then where it's like the most maximal force is being put on your muscles. And then they have kind of lower contractions where they're not as, they don't have as much resistance on your muscle. But resistance bands are really, really good at keeping resistance on a muscle throughout the entire movement. So they can be good, they can be used, they should be utilized for warm-ups, for dynamic warm-ups. You would never use a resistance band for your entire workout. Like that just doesn't even make any sense. Right? So you would use a resistance band to warm up, to have tension on a muscle so that you can have a good mind muscle connection. If maybe you're someone who struggles with a mind muscle connection, for example, with your pecs, then before going into a bench press, if you have trouble feeling your pecs on a bench press, before going into a bench press, take a resistance band, put it behind your back, and press the resistance band a few times while keeping tension, immense tension on your pecs, right? Because it's hard to feel the tension on your pecs during a bench press movement when you're underneath a huge load. But if you have just a resistance band, you can hold the tension on your pecs throughout the entire movement. And that's why it's really, really good for warming up. It's really, really good if you struggle with that mind muscle connection with the pecs or with any other muscle. Now, one other thing I'll say is resistance bands are very similar to cables. The only difference is resistance bands have a set weight, right? The resistance band has this much resistance, like 100 pounds of resistance, and you can't go above that, obviously. But with cables, it's the same thing. Cables keep tension on the muscle throughout the entire movement as well. And so cables can be a very, very useful tool for someone like who struggles with that mind muscle connection as well. But the cool thing about cables is you can up the weight more and more and more. So you can keep resistance, you can keep tension on a muscle with more and more weight. And so that's why things like, pec flies are really, really good for chest development and also mind muscle connection. And that's one of the reasons that you should utilize cables rather than resistance bands, is if you want to progressively overload on that tension, right? And so resistance bands and dumbbells, they're two completely different things. I wouldn't use them for the same goal or the same outcome whatsoever. I would use resistance bands to warm up, and then I would use dumbbells to work out, and then obviously barbells to work out. And then you can use cables to work out as well. Again, if you want to keep tension on the muscle throughout the entire movement, cables are going to be a really good option for you. But you would never use resistance bands for an entire workout. Another utilization for resistance bands is for some assisted pull-ups. You could do that, or assisted dips. You can use resistance bands to take resistance away from a movement, or you can use resistance bands to add resistance to a movement as well. You see all these bodybuilders, all these powerlifters attaching resistance bands to like a barbell bench press, for example, so that it's less tension on the bottom and more tension at the top. Again, resistance bands are masters of tension. So if you want to add tension at any place during an exercise, resistance bands can be a great option for you. See, if you put it behind your back as well and you go down and do some push-ups, it's a great way to add extra tension to your pecs during the push-up movement. So obviously it's going to be maximal tension at the top, and then it's going to be less tension at the bottom. So if you're someone who's already mastered body weight push-ups, resistance bands can be a good way to add resistance. Or if you're someone who's trying to break through a deadlift or a bench press plateau, resistance bands can be great for adding tension, at different parts or different sections of a movement. So that's one way you could utilize resistance bands. But to ask whether resistance bands or dumbbells are better, they're completely different, because you can't add tension to a barbell bench press with dumbbells, right? You could only do a dumbbell press with dumbbells. But if you need to add resistance, so for example, resistance bands will be good for a dynamic warm up. Resistance bands would be good for either taking away or adding tension to a given movement. And resistance bands would be helpful for someone who wants to break through a strength plateau on a full body movement, because again, they can be utilized to add tension to different portions of the exercise. For example, if you're someone who struggles with a deadlift from the floor, then you can add resistance bands on the floor, and you can make sure that they're tightest on the floor if you attach them to somewhere like, above or somewhere across, so that the tension is, the tension in the band is heavy at the bottom of the movement. Then you can actually, keep tension and keep resistance heavy at the bottom, and you can break through that bottom plateau. Or if you're someone who has struggles at the top of a deadlift, then you can make the tension the strongest at the top of a deadlift by doing something similar, by pulling it away and then keeping it far away on the sides, so that at the top of the movement the resistance bands are stretched out, and you have the most resistance at the top of the movement. And that's how you can use them to break through plateaus. And you can't do that with dumbbells, but dumbbells are great for building stability, for progressive overload. Dumbbells are great for full ranges of motion, because if you think about a dumbbell bench press versus a barbell bench press, a barbell bench press is dumbbell bench press is kind of sorry, my recording just stopped there. I had to set it back up. But a dumbbell bench press is you can get a lot more range of motion. You can get a bigger stretch on the pecs. But if you think about a barbell bench press, you can only get so much of a stretch, because the bar will obviously hit your chest, and then you will end up, having to press it back up. But with dumbbells, you can go all the way down, really get a huge stretch on your pecs, and you can do the same thing with other movements alike, not just the bench press. But again, that's why dumbbells and resistance bands, they're two different things. But dumbbells can be utilized for certain things, and resistance bands can be utilized for other things. And then you should throw in some cables in there too. Cables are great for keeping resistance throughout the entire movement, again, keeping tension on a certain muscle. And you can also progressively overload with cables, and that's why cables would be a great addition to someone like this, for someone like this' training plan. This is not a word, is it? But in any case, moving on to question number 3. I struggle with doing pull-ups. Any advice? Absolutely, dog. Absolutely. I used to struggle with pull-ups hardcore. Like I said, if you listen to the first story in this podcast, I couldn't do pull-ups at all. I could not do pull-ups at all. And so one thing I'll say is, I think deadlifts are king for your back. For back development, I truly believe, and I will stand upon saying, that deadlifts are the king for building your back. So if you want to get a strong back, which is what you need to do pull-ups, I would get strong on deadlifts, because you can start deadlifts at just 45 pounds with the bar. You can't start pull-ups there unless you have a weighted assisted pull-up machine, which I'll get to in a second. But I think deadlifts are the best movement for building up your back. And so pull-ups are a tough exercise if you don't have that weight assisted pull-up machine at your gym. So what you need to do is develop your lats in other areas, because your lats are going to be the main mover for pull-ups. So you need to develop them in other areas, and you should do things like deadlifts, because again, you can progressively overload. It's a full body lift. It's going to give you a full body strength, a full body pump. You can start at 45 pounds and slowly build your way up. And I think that is a phenomenal way to get better at doing pull-ups. So get better at deadlifts, get better at bent over rows, because that's another full body exercise that you can start at absolutely zero, just the bar, right? 45 pounds, you can slowly add, progressively overload, and then you can build up the strength to eventually do some pull-ups. Now, if you want to really get specific and really just train pull-ups, then I would suggest doing some pull-up variations. Like, again, getting a resistance band. You can order that online if you don't have a weight-assisted pull-up machine at your gym. If you do have a weight-assisted pull-up at your gym, then slowly, progressively overload on that weight-assisted pull-up. Start with 130 pounds assisted, then go to 120. Next week, go to 110. Next week, go to 100. Slowly progress your way up until you can eventually do body weight pull-ups. You can also get a little step up thing. Use it to jump up to the top portion of a pull-up and slowly do the eccentric. Try to hold it at the top as hard as you can and slowly go down. It's all about progressive overload, right? Because if you can't do a pull-up, all it means is that your lats aren't strong enough to pull your body weight up. So if you can figure out a way to lower your body weight with either a resistance band or an assisted pull-up machine, then you can actually do pull-ups. It's just you can only pull up 65 pounds rather than 130. It's just you can only pull up 80 pounds rather than 160. So if you can figure out a way to do that, like using a step up machine to jump up there and do a slow negative, or using a resistance band to help you get up there, you can tie the resistance band, lock your foot in it, and do pull-ups that way. Or you can get a weight assisted pull-up machine if they have that at your gym. You can utilize that to add an extra 60 pounds of weight. You can put your knees on the knee pad and you can do pull-ups that way. I would just recommend really squeezing, really making sure you got that mind muscle connection. Make sure you're thinking about the lats as you're pulling your way up and really squeezing at the top, because a lot of people struggle with feeling it in their lats. They struggle with feeling it in their back, because you can really use a lot of bicep, you can use a lot of arm to get up there, and it's just about feeling it in your lats, because at the end of the day, those are going to be the main movers in a pull-up movement. So that's how you're going to want to do it. Your body will always adapt to any stimulus that it's put under, right? So if you're able to do 60 pounds assisted one day, the next week you will be able to do 55 pounds assisted. I promise you that. You will get stronger, you will get better, especially since you're telling me that you're struggling with pull-ups. You're probably more or less like a newbie in the gym. You don't really have a whole lot of gains because, I'm just assuming because that's what I was when I couldn't do pull-ups. And again, mostly if you can't do pull-ups, you're probably pretty much a newbie at the gym. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but in any case, slowly, progressively overload your way up, or you can go about it by doing deadlifts, doing rows, just really, really getting your back stronger, progressively overloading again. And you want to be in a calorie surplus, making sure that you're gaining strength. You want to be getting a gram of protein per pound of body weight on your body every single day so that you can make sure that you're always building muscle. And yeah, you want to go on like a little bit of a bulk. Now, that being said, if you're someone who struggles with pull-ups because you're overweight, because you're severely overweight, then going on a bulk probably isn't going to help you that much. I would go on a couple aggressive cuts, maybe a 2 to 4 week cut, followed by a 2 to 4 week bulk period so that you get a little bit of caloric repartitioning going on. You're going to be losing body fat, gaining strength throughout these different phases. And then eventually you can progressively overload your way up to doing pull-ups without any assistance. All right, guys, that's one of the ways that I did it. I did every single thing that I'm telling you right now. I literally did resistance band pull-up assistance. I did jumping up pull-up negatives. I did pull-up assisted weighted pull-ups at the gym. I'd put my knees on that little pad and I would do assisted pull-ups that way. I would do chin-ups. I would do, reverse grip, or excuse me, neutral grip pull-ups, any kind of pull-up variation that I can get my hands on. Another thing that helps with pull-ups is the little TRX bands. If you guys have the TRX bands at your gym, you can do those little kind of, I don't know what they're exactly called, but you're like laying diagonal with the TRX bands, and you can do like these kind of body weight pull-ups with your heels on the ground so that you're really getting a lot of assistance there. And that's one way you can build up your strength for pull-ups. I used to do that. I remember at my gym they had these TRX things and I would do those kind of diagonal pull-ups, and that really, really did help. But again, that's just a form of progression, just another form of progression, because it's just taking weight out of the exercise. So if you can do deadlifts, if you can do bent over rows, and if you can do all these little pull-up variations, then eventually down the road you will be able to do pull-ups unfucking assisted like an absolute badass. All right, guys, so that's the answer to number 3. We got one more question here. We've been going for a little bit. This is going to be like a longer podcast. That's exciting. See, that's exactly what I wanted, though. I was telling you guys at the beginning of the pod, I want to branch out to like 45-minute, hour and a half long podcasts, really some long form content for you guys. But in any case, number 4 is, if you could change anything about your current physique, what would you change? This is a great question. I was excited to answer this one. So if you could change anything about your current physique, what would you change? So he said if you could change anything, but he didn't exactly say you can only change one thing. So I'm going to answer it in 2 ways. If I could only change one thing about my physique, I would make my abs look better. That's what it is, man. That's what it is, man. Because if you guys look at my physique, if you really analyze my physique, I basically have like a 4-pack. Now, I didn't want to reveal this on the podcast to you guys, but I don't really have a 6-pack. I basically have a 4-pack. And that's just my genetic disposition. I have 4 like really large abs. They're like quite large, like a 2x2, 2-inch by 2-inch, just fucking square. And they're very symmetrical. They look pretty nice. Like they're kind of symmetrical and aesthetic, but there's only 4 of them. And so if I could change one thing about my physique, is I would just plop 2 more of those bad girls right below it. Like if I could just get ab implants that looked natural, that looked exactly the same as the 4 abs that I have, I would fucking plop those bad girls down there at the bottom. Because the way my abs are set up is there's like 2 little micro abs at the top, like very small abs. Then there's those 4 fucking blocks, and then there's just like a giant V line block that goes down that doesn't really have a whole lot of indents. There's like 2 little tiny abs at the bottom. Once I get really shredded, like I'm starting to see them now, being 2.5 weeks out, I can see those little abs at the bottom. So I kind of have like an 8-pack. I could technically have an 8-pack. I could say it, but it's like you can't really see it that well unless I'm in perfect lighting with a gnarly pump and I'm carbed up and I have a lot of sodium in my veins. So I basically throughout normal day-to-day life have more or less like a 4-pack. And it's like, come on, man. Like I'm going to be this big fitness guy. I'm going to be this huge fitness personality and I have a 4-pack. Like that's just God slapping me in the face, man. That's just life giving me the huge big old backhand, flipping the bird at me. It's really kind of depressing, kind of sad, but at the end of the day, it's what I was born with. You know, I can't really change my genetics. I can't change the amount of abs that I have unless I go and get ab implants like Liver King, but I don't know. Maybe he does have ab implants. His abs look kind of ridiculous, but in any case, that's one thing I would change. But if I could change anything, because that's how the question is worded, that's what I would do if I could change one thing. If I could change anything about my physique, I would change up the abs. I would give myself better leg genetics because I can't seem to build those things no matter what the fuck I do. I would give myself bigger calves and I would give myself a bigger chest. And bigger biceps, right? So chest, biceps, quads, hamstrings, calves, and abs. So six body parts I would make better, just bigger. And so at the end of the day, I mean, that's why I'm in the gym, right? To get bigger, to get better, to get stronger. And so I'm working on it. I'm working on it, but I just feel like my legs, they don't grow no matter what I do, man. My max squat is 345, and so that's 2 times my body weight. And even when I was squatting that, my legs are just not big. They look small as hell, man. And I've asked people before, I'm like, look at my legs. And they're like, yeah, they look proportional, dude. It's fine. You're looking good. But when I look at my legs, I'm just like, why the fuck are you so small, dude? It's just pathetic. It's honestly gut wrenching. I can't stand it. And that's one of the main things I'm gonna work on in my bulk after this show is like building up my legs. I want to get back to squatting like at least 275 for reps, hopefully 315 for reps. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to squat 315 for reps. In high school, when I was literally 19 years old, I squatted 315 for 5 in front of a whole crowd of people, and it felt like my head fucking exploded. And I'm pretty sure that's the moment in time where I got all that scar tissue in my hamstring because there was never like a moment in time where I felt like a pop or anything, but I developed a whole bunch of scar tissue in my right hamstring and I had to go to PT for it for a long time because I had a lot of pain from overtraining. So if you guys are going to take anything away from this podcast, just don't overtrain. Don't be stupid like I was. I mean, if you're a teenager, you're likely going to be stupid at the end of the day in the gym because there's just so much testosterone in there. But overtraining really does suck. It's how I got all that scar tissue in my hamstring, and that's the reason I can't squat 315 now is because I had to dial back my training for years. It literally held me back by years, man. I had to stop squatting heavy for years, and now I'm doing this fitness competition, so obviously I'm not squatting heavy. But I did go to PT for a long time for it, and it should be all healed up. I should be ready to go, and I should be able to build up my squats back to 315. Ass to fucking grass this time, dude. I'm going all the way down. I'm going to build up some disgusting stability, and I cannot wait for that. That's one of the things I'm really excited for. I'm going for some 315 for reps on squats. I'm going for a 315 bench, and I'm probably going to go for like a 450, maybe 500-pound deadlift, depending on how big I can actually get. Do you guys think I can hit 200 pounds? That would be absolutely crazy. My highest is 195 pounds in college when I was on a 4K a day bulk, 4,000 calories every single day bulk, which isn't that much. I could honestly destroy that nowadays. I could eat 6,000 a day. I'm pretty confident in that. Um, and so yeah, I'm excited. That's what I would change. So that's the answer to the question. If I could change one thing, it would be the abs. If I could change anything, it would be those 6 body parts that I mentioned. Basically my whole legs, my abs, my chest, and my biceps, because those are the most stubborn. Those are the most stubborn body parts. Jeez, I can't talk today, man. I need to wake the fuck up. Those are the most stubborn body parts on my body. But maybe they're not stubborn because of my genetics. Maybe they're just stubborn because I haven't been eating right for the past 8 years, or maybe they're just stubborn because I've been overtraining for the past 8 years, or maybe they're just stubborn because I haven't programmed my programming properly. Right? We always, as trainers, there's like a little joke in the community where it's like we always program our clients' training plans better than we program our own. And it's so true because like when I go into the gym, I think I'm like a master. I think I'm like a wizard. I'm like, I'll switch this exercise for that, and this will give me that. This will give me extra hypertrophy. This is better for the concentric contraction portion of the exercise. And I'm just like, if I could stick to the plan, bro, and focus on progressive overload, perhaps my results would be a lot better. But we'll never know. I can't wait to be training for a decade, man. In 2 years, I'll be training for 10 fucking years, a whole decade. That is insane. So I have some serious progress to make up for that. I have to make a lot of gains in these next 2 years. I have to gain a lot of size. And so I'm going to be eating a disgusting amount of chicken breast. But in any case, guys, that's all the questions for Q&A this week. I had a whole lot of fun today. I hope you guys did too. Again, if you want to submit some questions, just DM me on IG at _Garrett Wolf and be like, can you answer this in one of the Q&As, or look out for the Friday night polls. I will be posting asking you guys to send in some questions for the Saturday Q&As. I'm going to try to make this a recurring episode if I can get enough questions in by that time. And that's it. That's all, guys. Hope you have a great day. I hope you got some value from this podcast. If you did get value, screenshot my face, share it to your Instagram stories, tag me at _Garrett Wolf, and I will reshare it to my story, and I will send you a free gift. I've had a whole lot of fun today, guys. I really, really did. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, a fantastic life, a fantastic time. And that's it. That's all. I hope you have a great day, guys, and I will see you all in the next podcast episode. Peace, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hopefully you got some value. If you did get value and you want to learn a little bit more about how you can go from saggy flabs to six-pack abs, just head over to my Instagram at _Garrett Wolf. DM me the word six-pack and I'll reach out to you and see if I can help. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I will see you all in the next podcast episode. Peace.